Hi, I'm Martin, still from Alabama. So what I have for you today, I've got the tower, Rapunzel's Tower from the movie Tangled. I built one a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It was a little bit smaller. My daughter was smaller, and this one has grown just like my daughter has grown. So
As your kids get bigger, the builds have to get bigger as well.
they do. They're like, Dad, it's not actually very good. it's small now. So yeah, that's right. But what I had in mind the way I wanted to do this, and I took a couple of screenshots from the movie, and I kind of looked at those screenshots, and I've designed this in my mind to be scaled to what the real Rapunzel, if she was real, would look like. So with the taperings of the tower and the top of the tower and the dimensions and everything there. So yep.
When you started on this build, did you start with the landscape and then go to the tower?
No, I didn't actually. No, I started with the very top of the tower because I wanted to make sure that I could get the cone shape in purple. And then I had to make sure that I could get it on the right scale. And then I built the tower down. So I've built before where I've tried to build a tower up and then I can't build to scale what I needed. So I've learned normally to build from the opposite way up. So yeah, that's how I did that. Yeah.
And that top section there looks like it could be very fragile. There's a lot of pieces in there. You build it, you got that detail in there, yeah. But I'm sure that also makes it harder to keep together.
So yeah, half of it's fragile, half it's not. So the actual the pointy part of the tower is fragile, and the roof, the purple roof, is fairly fragile. But the rest of it's really solid. The worry is, does it fall over? If it falls over, it's not very solid at all. But yeah, the interior of the building and the exterior of the building, like I wanted to build it with as much brick detail as I could, and I cheated and I snipped a little bit of Lego for like the hoses where you've got little crosses around there. But I'm okay with that because there's no other way to do it the way I wanted to do it. But it's actually fairly solid. So yeah.
And as we move our way down, you've got kind of this layered cake technique going on, yep. Where you get smaller or larger and larger as you go down. So yep. How did that come together and kind of stay strong for you?
So the tower, so right at the very bottom, right? So this is in two sections in the tower. So right to here, this to the bottom is one section, the other part is another section. And I've engineered it so basically the weight's distributed from the middle to the outside, and it's the whole thing weighs 70 pounds, the whole tower. But yeah, I knew I wanted a taper, and I tried to get it as a even tighter taper so you wouldn't see so much of a wedding cake look to it. But what that did is that actually, if I did the math on it, put the tower at about 11 feet tall, which would be great, but that wouldn't work so well. And again, it would be too heavy as well. So, and then the middle bit of the tower there, the way that sits, I built a Technic frame all the way through the middle. So it goes to the top of the tower and then kind of halfway to the bottom, and it kind of slides in and kind of locks into place, hopefully. Yeah.
In theory, that's the goal.
Yeah. In theory, it's working right now today, so this is good. So, yeah.
That's great. And then one last detail on the tower that I really like is kind of the vines and the leaves growing up around it.
Yeah, so my favorite piece of Lego is a little hose flex tube. It was an Ewok village, and I made the Ewok village or Ewok scene years ago and had lots of them. And so they're actually all attached in, and I've been able to clip in little flowers and the leaves, and that's very solid and stable as well. All that stuff's pulled from the pick-a-brick wall, which has made this easy to do. But as we go with that, actually, I want to tell you about the hair, because I like that detail. That's my favorite one, because I was struggling what to do, and we got the 1x1 little flowers with a tiny hole in them, and I strung string in, and then attached that into the tower and dropped it, and I get the texture and the flow and the movement of the hair, which I thought was a really important piece of detail to have.
Yeah. Do you know how many of those 1x1 pieces you have in that whole string?
Yeah, lots. Yeah. Thank you for asking. So, but no, I don't know. So.
Yeah, it's a great way to do that, though, because then even once it hits the ground, it kind of snakes along the ground there a bit.
Yeah. But you asked about the tower, so then with the landscaping part here, the rock work, I've been inspired by a couple of other builders. That took a 2 or 3 days of trying to do the rock work. That's where I started, because I knew how I wanted that to look. And again, this is kind of mirrored from how the main movie shot looks. So you'd have a waterfall fountain down here. Power went out in the house, and I started to tile the water, and I used the wrong color blue because I couldn't see because I had a flashlight.
But these are the dangers of Lego building. You never know what's going to happen.
However, I actually like it because it gives different depths, and I'm trying to represent different speed in the river as you come and flow out here. And then the landscape in the going towards the left-hand side of it, a little gradual slope up with the trees, again, how I saw it in the images that I've seen in like the artwork of it. So try to build it as accurate as I could, apart from pink flowers and trees. So, well, pink trees, the flowers were in it. So, yeah.
What is the structure underneath kind of the whole base there that builds that section up?
It's all solid brick, complete solid brick on there, and I haven't always done that. And I also actually did a horrible faux pas. The base plates are glued to this piece of wood, but I needed to do it to make it stable, knowing how much weight I was having pressing down here, and I couldn't risk a base plate moving, so I was okay with that little bit of cheating for it. But it is 100% solid brick. So this piece here weighs about 140 pounds, and then the tower's about 70, so in terms of weight.
So this is quite the operation then. How when you move this to the show, what is that operation like with all that weight?
Yeah, so the base slides into the back seat of my car at an angle. The tower, which is also on a base that slides out, is sitting on my front seat, and then the rest of it's wrapped really, really carefully. The trees come off. I'm not fussed about those. Those are easy builds. But there was a different way of me approaching a build because everything's always been modular, and I had to do it to make sure it stays still and sturdy. I had to make it non-modular. So.
One thing I know that you've talked about in past builds is how you like to include little animals throughout the build. So take us through some of those you've been able to include here.
Yeah, and the reason I do it is because, I mean, a bland, boring tower, people are like, oh, there's a tower and they go. But I try to build it from the height of a little child as they're looking at it and see different pathways and angles. So they might see the little hedgehogs doing something, or the deer, or everyone comes here and sees a turtle on a trail. And it makes them stay a little bit longer and look a little bit deeper into stuff. But again, my kids love animals, and I always like to put a little cat in somewhere that I can. But it's hard to add too much to a scene that I'm trying to make movie replica. You know, I could throw in some Batmans or something for kids to say, oh, it's Batman, but I kind of wanted to stay away from that on this one. But
right. Well, the whole scene looks really beautiful all together here, the trees and the towers, so thank you for bringing it out to the show.
Lovely. Cheers. Thanks.